Okay, so he kind of decides to turn Sealand into its own thing. He decides to turn it into a principality specifically, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and what is a principality? How did he decide upon that? What's that whole story?
I believe principality is a fairly like outdated form of government by this point, although there still are a few principalities in the world. But it's essentially like a monarchy, just kind of with different titles. Again, from my understanding, governed by a prince and princess. There's no king or queen, but they function as such in that they create and enforce all the rules and sort of mold their kingdom according to their worldview. And so that's the idea for principality. We're going to be prince and princess. We're going to have full sovereignty or full reign over this. And so we'll just call it the Principality of Sealand.
Right. Yeah. And so he makes himself the prince and his wife becomes a princess.
Right. Yep. And that's kind of was the family joke was like, how many people can brag about giving their wives their own their own kingdom and island. And so that, now they were able to call themselves prince and princess.
Right. Yeah. Man, it's so cool. And they just kind of, if I remember correctly, they picked to do a principality just because it was way easier than trying to set up some other form of jurisdiction or whatever, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you're the kind of first and final word on the law, it's like, yeah, you don't have to waste time with all these levels of government and creating all of these. Of course, they do have a constitution, but yeah, it just greatly simplified getting things up and running.
Right. Yeah, and so what was the process to get things up and running? Is it like do you submit an application to something, or what's the deal with that?
Well, I mean, of course, he consulted with his lawyer to see what their legal, what legal right they had to do this, and that's kind of what's made Sealand a lot different than other, experiments in nationhood or micronationhood.
Right.
Is that it does on paper for sure have a pretty interesting claim to sovereignty. And so that slight ambivalence, the fact that it is in international waters, that it was abandoned, that it's, essentially a permanent structure, kind of gives it a little more latitude to make some kind of claim about it versus something that might be a little less permanent. And so there is a pretty interesting academic exercise when you consider what makes a state and how Sealand fulfills the qualifications that are generally applied to other recognized nations. So, there's a lot of academic debate about that. I came across a bunch of cool scholarly articles, getting really serious about debates about Sealand's nationhood, both claims for and against, and, citing, just really antiquated case law and all kinds of other stuff to try to make heads or tails of what this, what status this old fort actually has.
Yeah, like what the hell is this thing? I mean, that's kind of really the trick, is to kind of get other people or other nations to recognize Sealand as a nation, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
And as soon as this notion that Sealand was declared, which by the way was September 2nd, 1967 is Sealand's Independence Day, and there's a flag raising ceremony, and friends and supporters and family were on the fort to inaugurate the country. The British government, very quickly dismissed this claim of sovereignty, but the Sealanders nonetheless got to work, issuing stamps and coins and other trappings of statehood, and then trying to engage with other governments to try to gain some kind of recognition, governments both recognized and of other disputed territories.
Hey, thanks for watching this video. This is my dog, Murphy, and these are dog treats. Now I'll give Murphy one of these dog treats, and all you have to do is press the like button. Just press that little like button right down there at the bottom of this video, and this sweet, adorable, cute little puppy gets a treat. All thanks to you. Alright, you did it? Okay, I believe you if you said you did it. There you go, Murph. She got that treat because of you. Now, I'll eat one of these treats, and all you have to do is click that subscribe button right there, pointing to it. Just click that subscribe button, subscribe to Curiosityness with me, Travis DeRose. Get lots of good video, and I'll eat this treat. All right, you did that too? That's not very good. Bro, not very good.